Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is for all of you who are watching this, listening to this presentation. I'm going to be talking about whether or not the right to property is inalienable. We're going to be looking at whether or not a church has the right to sacrifice animals in a churchyard, where passersby can see. And we're going to be looking at that, whether or not the right to property is inalienable in this case. So we have the Santeria religion. This is the main religion that was practicing animal sacrifice at this time, and the one that's we're concerned with right now. Its belief system was it was Cuban, and it was heavily affected by the culture of the African diaspora of the 19th century, affected by the slave trade going on then, 1800s. The African religion Yoruba, in the region it came from, and different elements of Roman Catholicism that was affected and where it melded with in Cuba, and specifically with their theology surrounding saints, and Spiritism as well. A large portion of the practice of Santeria includes animal sacrifice, and specifically blood is seen as very special, with helpful properties for different rituals, helpful in those rituals, and that was kind of the impetus for doing the actual animal sacrifice. And Florida in the 1980s was receiving a large amount of Cuban immigrants due to economic depression in Cuba itself. By extension, more and more adherents to Santeria were making their new home in Florida. Lots of debt going on in Cuba at the time. So now we have the background. Let's look at the case. The church Lukumi Babalui announced to be leasing a property for the purpose of practicing the religion. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, Lukumi Babalui. The city council had known what Santeria was, knew they were going to be practicing animal sacrifice, and so they met and discussed what they could do about this perceived travesty. Then this legislative body in Hialeah, Florida, took offense at the very existence of the Santeria religion in the United States, saying things like it goes against the Bible and it goes against the entire ethos of the United States. And so they were going against this on the basis of the religion itself, not from a public interest, from a governmental interest standpoint. And this is what the Supreme Court really took issue with, their decision to pass ordinance against the religion. So they do this. They pass ordinance against a religion saying you can't practice animal sacrifice in public. So the church sued, and the district court in Florida sided with the city. They upheld what the city did. The church appealed, and then the appellate court sided again with the city. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case finally, and they decided unanimously in favor of the church on June 11th, 1993, 6 years after the original statutes were passed against the church in Hialeah. The original incident happened in 1987. So there were different concurrent opinions going on. A few people taking a more hard line approach to that all religion has to be protected, under the First Amendment, and then different other people taking a little bit looser things. Justice Scalia, Justice Brown, taking opinions following with a couple other different Supreme Court cases, saying that you could discriminate against religion if there's like interfering with how you do your job, that kind of thing. So there's these different things, but they're all, at the end, unanimous with the decision. This is Justice Anthony Kennedy saying religious beliefs need not be acceptable, logical, consistent, or comprehensible to others in order to merit First Amendment protection. And he was one of the justices on the Supreme Court at this time. And I love this quote because this is something that the city council ignored. This is something an appellate court ignored. This is something a district judge ignored. And it's astounding to me that all of these levels of the United States government would be perfectly fine with violating these fundamental human rights of property and exercise of religion. So the right to do what you want with your property, or with property you're leasing, provided you aren't violating a contract, anything like that, it is inalienable. I'm making that point. My reasoning is that rights always trump efficiency or annoyance or public interest. So you might bring all those things as reasons, like, oh man, the highway just really needs to go through this point. But the right to property is held by those people. And the right to property trumps the wants, the not needs wants of the public. So the right of man to acquire and use property remains inviolable, even by eminent domain. And even more critically, the right to free exercise of one's religion was placed in jeopardy by the government in this case. And that truly should make us all step back and think about what our government truly can do if they wanted to. They could shut down your church, and they could do it on property owned by that church. Thank you very much for taking a moment to listen to this presentation and watch me doing this. So thank you very much.